I'm so glad to have this opportunity to present today. We're going to go ahead and get started. Today, we're going to talk about leading and coaching your dream team. And while I originally set up this presentation to discuss proposal teams, I quickly realized that it can go across the board. So the information that I'm going to share today can be applied to a proposal manager who is overseeing a specific bid team, a manager who is in charge of a proposal department, or even a proposal consultant who is leading their own business. So please take this information and think about across the board how you could be using it to advance your own career and help you build the team that is efficient and works together well. To start with, you need to foster a culture of innovation and entrepreneurial thinking. Your team members need to feel that they are an indispensable part of your team, and they need to know that you appreciate and support them and will do what you can to help them grow. It's up to you as the leader to initiate the type of change that needs to be happen so you can see the change you seek in others. So until recently, most companies operated mostly top down. Leadership, power, and authority were built on status, longevity, rank, and position, and orders were given and team members were expected to follow them to the best of their ability. But this is no longer the case, and leadership today is established through integrity, professional reputation, the ability to effectively take action, communication, collaboration, and the ability to share. And I think that is especially true today as we come out of the pandemic and everyone had to work together virtually. That kind of set up a whole new dynamic in how teams work together. And a lot of companies who thought virtual wouldn't work for them have discovered that it actually does, and in some ways actually increases productivity. So let's look at some of the different types of leadership. This was outlined by psychologist Kurt Lewin in 1939, and his research led him to 3 different types of leadership styles. And even though they were developed a long time ago, they're still true today. So first we have the authoritarian leaders, and they are the ones who believe in command and control. They give explicit expectations for what, when, and how work is going to get done. They have a mindset of there being a clear line between the leader and the employee, and decisions come from the top and are carried out by the team members. They seem to be controlling, they seem to be bossy. These are your micromanagers, and this approach leads to less creativity and engagement from the team members. Now, authoritarian leadership has its place, and it works best for situations where you need to make a quick decision, quick action is required, but when it's used incorrectly, it will stifle creativity and even create dysfunction among the team. Democratic leaders, on the other hand, offer guidance only and let the team leaders provide the input for decision. They let the members participate in the decision-making process. And when compared to the authoritarian leaders, they foster more engagement, motivation, and creativity from their team. Everyone on the team feels like they're a valued member, and they therefore feel they have an investment in getting the right results. Laissez-faire leaders are the ones who offer little to no guidance. They leave all decision-making up to the employees. And this approach really works when your team members are highly skilled experts and you're relying on their judgment. The downside of this approach, however, is that it can lead to a lack of motivation and confusion among the team as to who is supposed to be doing what and who is filling what role. It can lead to a lack of direction, a lot of blaming, lack of accountability, and reduced quality in the work that's produced. So which style is the best? Well, obviously, the democratic style is the best. As we said, the other styles are effective in certain situations, but really you want the democratic style. You want everyone to feel like they have skin in the game, that they are part of the process, that their opinion is valued, their input is sought, and everyone feels like they are contributing. But in addition to understanding the leadership style, you also need to consider your mindset. Your mindset exerts a powerful influence on your team members' creativity and innovation. And your leadership approach and mindset can either prohibit or limit this creativity. You can easily send messages subconsciously that come from your mindset. So generally speaking, here are some behaviors you should try to further develop your mindset in your own self. They will help with overall directing your team. So let's look at each one of them individually and how it can affect your team. So be positive. When you talk to your team, do you frame things in a positive light? Positively means positioning things for growth and opportunity rather than focusing on the negatives like frustration or even failure. This could be reflected in both how you think and how you speak. It doesn't mean sugarcoating things or denying the reality of a situation. It just means framing things in a certain way. Let's suppose, for example, you're working on a proposal, the customer releases an amendment and makes drastic changes to the scope of work you're responding to. Instead of saying, we need to sit down, sorry guys, everything's changed, we're going to have to work the weekend to restructure the solution and rewrite the technical approach, you can view it positively and say, now we get a chance to reevaluate and look at putting in more of the wonderful things that we can provide. It all depends on how you frame the situation. So accept failure. If you want your team members to innovate and try new things, there will be failures and mistakes along the way, and you need to be accepting of this failure. And if you do, it will rub off on your team members. Instead of blaming, criticizing, or chastising anyone for not meeting their target, for example, you can frame it in a way that the failure is acknowledged, but you're looking at the positives of the situation and already have your eye on the next effort in order to, as we put it in the proposal world, look at the lessons learned. How can you apply them in such a way that the next time things go a little smoother and you can avoid the situation that caused the failure in the first place? Delegate. Some people find it very difficult to delegate work. They feel that nobody can do the job as well as they can, and it takes too long to teach somebody to do it the way I want it to get done. It's easier to just do it myself. But if you like to do everything yourself, this is a habit you need to break. The need to get comfortable with delegating work because you can't do it all. If you're trying to control or micromanage all aspects of what's going on with the team, then you can't foster the creative and innovative spirit you need, and things are going to stagnate. Embrace learning. A good team leader has a love of learning and fosters this among the rest of the team. And there are always things to learn in business. As Bhaskar said, I've been in proposal business in some form or fashion for almost 40 years. There's still things that I learn. whether it's from a technology standpoint, a new way of doing things, a new way to set up a form, a new way to communicate. There's always something new to learn. And your ability to learn and master new things is going to be essential to your success and by extension, the success of your team. So take every opportunity to learn, foster a love of learning, and take time to reflect on how you personally can start to do things better. And that's going to resonate throughout your team. And be flexible. How many times in the course of a proposal do we have to be flexible, whether it's because there was an extension and now we have more time, we can adjust the schedule, or a writer was unable to meet a deadline for some reason. We always have to be flexible, and we always have to learn to pivot on a dime to restructure how things are being done. So be ready to adapt to shifts in the environment. Things are always changing, and continuous change is one of the only constants in life. So always be willing to try new ways of doing things, and your team members, as we said before, will feel the same way. In addition to learning these leadership behaviors, you may also need to master key communication skills for fostering collaboration and innovation in your team. So this can begin by communicating by listening. We always say you've got 2 ears, 1 mouth, listen more and talk less. So whenever communicating with team members, don't dominate the conversation in meetings. When you do this, this is a sure sign that you're not getting the input from your team that you might need to move ahead. Everyone has something to contribute. Everyone is coming from a different background. They have a different perspective. They may have a more innovative idea. So if you are dominating the conversation and not giving them a chance to share what they have to say, share from their experience, share an idea, share, hey, I was on this proposal team. We tried this, it worked really well. It seems like it might help in this situation. If you don't give that an opportunity for that kind of collaboration, then things are not going to move forward potentially. So hold conversations where you're asking questions and mostly listening to your team's answers. Give them an opportunity to share what they have to say. And by asking probing questions, not only are you showing that you're interested in what they have to say and you're interested in hearing their ideas, but just the fact that a question you ask may trigger a thought in someone else's mind that they might say, hey, what you just said just gave me an idea. What if we tried X? Or what if we did Y? You never know where that next great idea is going to come from. So be approachable. Do your team members feel comfortable sharing ideas with you? Do they feel comfortable talking about their concerns, discussing their goals? If you are, then that's a sign that you are approachable and your team feels comfortable coming to you with anything. I can share, I once managed a proposal department. My proposal coordinator came into my office one day and said, bad news, my hard drive and my computer died. And I said, okay, well, you backed everything up to the shared drive, right? And she said, well, no, some things were lost. And IT doesn't think that they are going to be able to recover the hard drive. That information is pretty much gone for good. I said, okay, I want you to sit down, take a minute, think about what information was lost, and give me an idea of how long you think it will take to recreate what was lost. The next day when I saw her, she said, I want to thank you. I said, for what? She said, for not yelling at me for doing something so stupid like not backing up my material and losing stuff on the hard drive. I said, okay, let's pretend for a moment that I yelled at you. What would I have accomplished? I would have raised my blood pressure, which isn't good for me. I would have made you feel worse than you already did, and you would have spent the rest of the day sitting at your desk, beating yourself up and being upset, and maybe not focusing on the tasks that you need to do. And everybody else in the department would have learned, don't go to Allie when you have a problem, because she's just going to go off and yell at you. So you're going to try to solve the problem yourself until it gets big enough that you can't handle it. Then you'll come to me, and it might be a harder problem to solve than it would have been in the very beginning when it was a little problem. I said, so what good would have come out of my yelling at you? She said, there wouldn't be any. It would have been a bad situation. I said, and that's why I didn't do it. Being accessible and knowing that your team members are comfortable coming to you no matter what is only going to help foster collaboration. It's going to foster communication, and it's going to help your team feel cohesive and know that not only that they can trust you to come with an issue or a problem, but that you will be supportive and not start playing a blame game. Share information. Do your team members know what's up to date, what's going on with your business? Do they understand what's going on with the proposal? Do they understand changes? We've added a team member, or a major competitor we thought we were going up against has dropped out of the bid. We now have to reevaluate our black hat. Do you understand the vision? Do you understand does your team member understand your specific goals? I mean, it sounds simple to communicate what's going on and to share information, but sometimes we forget to tell our team members what we're working towards. Situations can change. So unless you're deliberately making an effort to share information with your team, they're not likely to know what it is they need to know. So plan to have regularly scheduled meetings. I know in proposals we have daily tag ups, weekly tag ups, however often that you choose to do it, attended by all team members. And then you can share new information. You can share that, hey, we expect an amendment, or hey, we heard this competitor bowed out, or we found out that there's a new competitor in the landscape. Encourage team members to contribute their own observations of what's going on, but make the meetings casual. Don't make it so formal that people don't feel like they can interrupt or they can speak up. For instance, if you say a new company just entered the fray, we have a new competitor. Well, you might have somebody on the team who potentially may have worked for that competitor, or who went up against that competitor on another bid. They can share some information and background that could help you know how to position yourself against that competitor. But if the meeting is so rigid that they don't feel that they can speak up, you're going to miss out on knowing that information. So adopt a leadership style that encourages independence, solution resolution, and collaboration, and foster a culture of collaboration and innovative thinking among your team members. So you don't have to be the only one solving the problem. Everyone collaboratively is sharing their ideas, sharing their input, sharing their perspectives, and it motivates your team all the way around. So it can also motivate your team to be self-directed. So they're learning their achievements, they can add value by expanding their skills. And whether you are working with a handful of employees or a large proposal department, creating a culture that nurtures collaboration and innovation is essential to building a high-performing team that supports and drives towards the results that need to be achieved. So no matter what kind of team you're building and what skills are required, there are certain qualities that are universal for building an innovative team. And these are some of the qualities that you're looking for, and you want to try to incorporate these, make them a part of everyday life. So make sure that your meetings are not top down. Your mission is to gain the input of your team members, get their feedback, listen to their ideas, and try to lead the meeting with some ideas you can implement and test out, and envision how these characteristics would look when implemented in the workplace. The key to successfully implementing your desired values is to walk the walk yourself. If you say one thing and do another, then your team isn't going to follow you. They're going to say, oh, it's one thing for her, another thing for me. It creates a feeling of being double standard. You must embody the values that you expect your team members to adopt. And if you come across as fake to your team, the culture is going to implode. And it takes time and energy to build your team's culture. So you want to encourage everyone and show by example how things can be worked out and foster that sense of we're all in this together. So set aside time in your schedule to work on it. You'll need to think about your culture, but also to plan ways to think about it. And there are certain culture killers, and I'm sure at some point in time, all of us have run into one of these that can really negatively impact your team cohesiveness, how they work together, and how you work with them. So another one is office negativity. And it's okay, we all every now and then have a bad day. Everything seems to be going wrong. Murphy's Law was written just for you. And everyone can't be happy all the time. Everyone at some point in time has an off day for one reason or another. But when office negativity takes over, then it needs to be addressed, and it needs to be handled quickly and resolve the members' issues so that everyone can start functioning with a clear head. If the negativity continues to fester, then it's only going to bleed over into other aspects of the team. If you're managing a proposal department, if a couple people are constantly having a negative attitude, it's going to spread throughout the entire department. So you want to try to address it, find out what the issue is, and do whatever you can within the parameters of your situation, your level of authority, to resolve those issues so things can get turned around. Another one is gossip. This one is more likely to happen if you're working in person as opposed to virtual, but it can be in both situations. And office gossip tends to split teams into fractions and turn team members against each other. It also distracts team members and can lead to that office negativity. So discourage gossip when you hear about it. And if there is a legitimate issue going on, raise it with the team without naming specific people. For instance, it could be gossip about so-and-so doesn't carry their weight. Well, maybe there's a good reason. Maybe that person is taking care of a sick loved one and isn't able to work the overtime hours other people in the team can. Maybe there's a reason why things are happening the way they are. And gossiping about it isn't going to help. So address the issue and get it resolved so everyone can get past it and start working together. Hand in hand in that is blaming others. And this is a serious culture killer. The symptoms of blaming include arguing over responsibilities, individual team members contacting you about others, or team members directly blaming each other. A good way to prevent this is to reinforce the idea that everybody plays an important role in achieving your goals and mistakes are not to be feared. It also helps if you set the example yourself by taking responsibility for your own failures and your mistakes. If you mess up and you are willing to stand there and say, yes, I know I did this. Maybe I should have handled that situation differently. Maybe I should have done A instead of B. If they see that you are willing to put ego aside and show that you yourself are human, you make mistakes, and you stand up and admit you made that mistake and put action in place to ensure that mistake doesn't happen again, then your team members will again feel that they are supported if they come to you and say that I made a mistake, instead of trying to say, well, it's not my fault because so and so didn't do this, and if he or she had done that, then I wouldn't have had to do this. Don't go down that rabbit hole. Just make sure that you are able to address your mistakes, and then everyone will feel comfortable being able to admit that they made a mistake too. The other one is oversensitivity to feedback. If team members feel overly sensitive to feedback, they are less likely to share their ideas. If every time someone says, hey, I have an idea, and they express their opinion, and someone else always speaks up and says, that's a stupid idea. Or why would we want to do that? Or why do you think that would work? Or we tried that before and it never worked, so why should we try it again? That person is going to shut down and not speak up and not contribute what could be a really great idea that resolves an issue or saves time, maybe saves money, gets things moving forward. You're missing out on a valuable resource. So create an environment where feedback is always given in a positive way. And again, reinforce that no mistakes or failures. How many times have we sat in a brainstorming session and the first thing you hear is, there's no such thing as a dumb suggestion, or there's no such thing as a stupid question. That's very true. If someone doesn't feel that they can be comfortable in expressing their thoughts or their ideas, then your team is missing out on something that could be very valuable and very helpful. So especially with virtual teams, negative behaviors, as I said, are generally less than an issue. But one way to reduce the issue of office politics or issues is to encourage your employees who work remotely to get together at specific times. If you ask them only to come in when there's a specific meeting or a special event, then they're not going to feel part of the team. I read an article the other day where they said team members, their virtual team members, felt left out because they had special events sometimes to build morale. For instance, they may bring in pizza for lunch, and the remote workers were saying, well, why can't you send a pizza to my house so I can participate? Well, that might not be possible if your office is in Chantilly, Virginia, and your remote worker is in Houston, Texas. You can't always keep sending them pizza every time you have lunch brought into the office, but you can maybe once a quarter or a few times a year, send them a coupon, send them a special dessert from Uber Eats, or send them a coupon for a special pizza. I'm a consultant. I work mostly remotely. I had a capture manager call me one day. We had put in a lot of extra hours. They had had a special little thank you food brought in, and the capture manager called me up and said, "What's your favorite dessert?" And I told him, and he said, where can I get that?" And I said, "A restaurant nearby that offered that." He said, "All right, I'm going out on DoorDash and ordering that dessert, having it sent to you as a thank you for the extra hours that you helped us get this proposal out the door." So there is a way that you can include virtual members of your team in events, even though they can't be there in person every single time you do something special. So training employees, and if you're hiring employees, if you are a proposal director or someone who is managing a proposal department, it takes a great deal of time, effort, and resources. And because of this investment, you want to keep the people you hire happy and encourage them to continue developing their skills. And that goes across the board. So the best way to do this is to offer learning and development opportunities to your team. And this not only allows you to retain your team members, because again, they feel valued, they feel like you're willing to put that investment into their professional development and by extension, their personal development, but it also leads to their development and growth, which makes them feel more valuable to your organization, whether it's a proposal team, your department, or a business overall. So there are plenty of impactful and inexpensive ways to inject learning. Learning and development doesn't have to be a costly endeavor. And there are plenty of ways that you can inject learning into your culture, your team culture. So some of the key learning opportunities that will impact all team members include onboarding activities, whether that's a new employee joining your department or a new team member that joins your proposal team halfway through the process. It could be a new SME that you've identified you need, comes in, or it could be someone on your team had to leave, whether they quit or something came up personal, they are no longer available. So a new writer or a new graphics person joined the team. Well, they need to get up to speed. The other one is ongoing skill and knowledge development, transitioning to new roles, developing soft skills, and other types of initiatives. So let's talk about onboarding. Someone should be appointed to orient and educate new team members. And this could be as simple as checking in with them once a week, once a day, have that little in-person chat to see how they're doing, answering any questions that they may have. And if you're having trouble retaining team members for any reason, having a mentor to help them is a big way to make them feel that they have someone they can go to. So they feel more comfortable. They know they have a point of contact, someone they can go to answer questions, to help them out. Where on SharePoint can I find this file? Who do I talk to about getting a graphic made? What's the process for submitting a graphic? All of those types of questions about your processes, anything along those lines. Having a mentor is a big help. And if you're working with professionals, they may need to add skills every now and then, maybe because to maintain their APMP certification, for example. So all of your team members will benefit from developing different skills or even improving ones that they already have. So it might still involve sending them to conferences or maybe having them sign up to take a class. Of course, with the advent of the internet now, there are a lot of free programs online where they can go and take courses. I know the APMP now offers webinars. We have webinars like this one that Mascar's organization offers. There are a lot of opportunities now that you can find that will give you opportunities to learn new skills or improve the skills that you already have. And you can even take, for instance, if you're going for your PMP, you can even go online now and take practice tests for certifications to help you ensure that you pass when you go for the real deal. Depending on the size of your team, you may want to consider how to track team members to help them advance to new roles and responsibilities. Shifting roles and responsibilities can lead to a happier and generally more successful employee. Early on, identify potential leaders and let them know your plans to promote them. Again, when I was a proposal director leading a team, I had a senior writer in my department who was a rock star, true rock star. And I could see where he would make an excellent proposal manager. It was a career path he had never considered. He didn't think that was an opportunity that would be available to him. So we sat down and talked about it, found out he really was interested in advancing into a proposal management role, but didn't think that it was possible. So we set up a plan. And I started off having him sit in on color team reviews. I had him assigned as volume lead. So he started developing those types of skills that were needed in proposal management. He eventually was promoted to proposal manager, and he's right now as a senior management for a large corporation and doing very well. So there are other ways to increase your team's value through learning opportunities. One of these is through cross-training. You might want to consider this. It's inexpensive to implement. You have two team members. One is a graphic artist, one is an editor. They might each be interested in each other's role. Well, they might be able to work together. The graphic artist might be able to teach the editor to do some rudimentary, simple graphics, and the editor might be able to help the graphic artist. One thing that I did when I was hired for one company to develop a proposal department is I hired people who had two skill sets. My proposal manager could also do desktop publishing. My proposal coordinator could also do graphics. My graphic artist could also do desktop publishing. My technical writer could also manage small task order proposals. So we were always able to vary the workload, keep things interesting, and they got to develop new skills along the way. Mentoring, set up a mentoring program so people can have an opportunity to develop new opportunities to learn. It doesn't even necessarily have to be someone inside your organization. Could be another person in your company. It could be someone from APMP. It could be someone from another proposal department in a group that you are familiar with, or you could mentor someone within your department yourself. Rotate your team roles. This is where you can rotate teams through various roles and give them an opportunity to wear many hats. This is good training because it keeps team members more interested and engaged when they can experience many different roles. So for instance, if you have a proposal, I know, don't laugh when I say this, that wraps up early, you could have a team member in charge of the project spend a day or week supporting another proposal to give them an opportunity to perhaps get familiar with another customer or get familiar with a different department. Consider having your rotating team member give a presentation about their role. I would do this periodically. I would have a team member discuss exactly what was involved with their position. What exactly did they do? What was the difference between a capture manager and a proposal manager? What was the technical writer, the proposal writer looking for? How does the technical writer interview a SME? Giving members a chance to talk about what they know and how they do their job helps everyone gain better appreciation for each other's role, and it makes it a lot more fun. So you can have soft skill trainings, give people a chance to, for instance, practice communication skills, practice public speaking skills, and again, take advantage of that mentoring. Can you pair a team member who needs help, for example, with public speaking, with someone who is an excellent public speaker? They can practice and work together to develop that skill. And give everyone an opportunity to be involved in process improvements. If you have time, give your team a challenge to solve. This is a very good team building exercise. You could even make it a contest, make it something simple and give them a chance to solve the problem. It could be something like implementing Google Drive in your organization or using SharePoint in a different way in your proposal teams. But give them an opportunity to show their creativity and solve an issue. So by coaching your team members, you're encouraging their goal-oriented behaviors and encouraging them to do their best work. And coaching is the most valuable skill you can use as a leader because it instills greater accountability among your team members. And it also helps you gain greater insight into what's working and not working within your team. So coaching and mentoring are two completely different skill sets. So coaching is being task or goal-based. I'm going to teach you how to do this, or I'm going to teach you how to achieve this. Mentoring is a long-term approach. It could be, I'm going to mentor you, share my expertise with you to develop, for instance, leadership skills. So here's some differences between mentoring and coaching that will help you identify what is the difference and how you can potentially apply these to your team. And successful coaching involves holding one-on-one touch points with your team members. So have a regularly scheduled time when you meet with each of your team members. Doesn't have to be a big formal thing, doesn't need an agenda or anything. Just touch base with them, have a 20 to 30-minute conversation with them every now and then. How are things going? Do you have any problems? Do you need help with anything? Do you need advice with anything? Do you feel like you're making progress? Yes or no? If you're not, what can we do to fix that? How can we help you succeed? That's basically what the end goal here is. How can I, as a leader, as your team manager, help you to succeed, not only in this particular role, but in your career? So let the team member do most of the talking. Again, listen more. Your job is to check in to see how you can help, listen to their progress, ask questions, and your main involvement here is to remove obstacles to their success. And this is probably the most valuable skill you can use as a leader. If nothing else, if you walk away with nothing else today, please develop your coaching skills. This is probably one of the best ways and most effective ways to make your team members feel they are valued and they are supported. So again, keep the conversation positive. Use tips to let that go. Let them, if they have any failures, show that that's an opportunity, and keep things simple and moving positive. Use note-taking tools if necessary. Notes are for their reference to recall what went on during the session. At each session, ask them refer to the notes from before. The last time we met, you said you were going to explore opportunities online to take training in this particular area. Were you able to do that? What trainings did you come up with? Which ones interested you? And most important of all, celebrate success. If you have a winning proposal, let your team know. One company that I worked for, every time we submitted a proposal, the president of the company sent a thank you note to every single person who contributed to that proposal, no matter how small, to thank them for what they did, to thank them for contributing to the proposal team, to thank them for helping us put together a proposal that was high quality and best positioned the company to win. And detail everyone's involvement, formally recognize and celebrate everyone's success, whether it's a promotion or someone achieved a certification. Make it a priority to always point out someone's success and let everyone celebrate that. So with that, I will turn it over to Bhaskar and we'll see if we have any questions.
Wow, Ali, this was very, very useful, Ali. I mean, like, it's pretty much like a checklist. I'm sure what pointers that you covered through, at least one or two, many of the attendees have going through or have gone through in their career so far, like different levels of things. And I'm sure this becomes like a little blueprint of how to lead and manage teams. Again, I'm going to print it. I'm going to keep it with me because many of the stuff that you mentioned, like the office champions and also, checking the team's well-being and stuff, I think I could do a lot more. But definitely, Ali, thank you for sharing your wisdom. So there are a few questions, but while I ask those questions, please do have more questions for Ali. Obviously, with Ali's 40 plus years experience working with lots of SMEs and also mentoring people at every level, there is at least 1,000 plus people Ali might have touched in her life. And that's here available to you for the next 10 minutes. Please do utilize that. So question number 1 from Krishna. When we are developing a new proposal team, what goals would you suggest for the proposal specialist to help them succeed? Is there any kind of high-level goals that you suggest that the proposal specialist needs to work to, Ali?
I know that goals that I have set for my team have been, for example, I don't focus on win rate or anything like that. When I'm developing a new proposal team, I want them to understand what their goal is depending on their role on the team. For example, if I have a writer that maybe is new to proposals, my goal would be make sure that you meet your deadline. That's your goal. If you don't meet your deadline, this is the repercussion. Because you didn't meet your deadline, we can get the proposal into editing and it might not be ready for that color review team. Help them to understand the ramifications of what would happen if they don't meet their goal. Proposal manager, if I have a new proposal manager, it might be, I want you to make sure you maintain schedule. I want you to maintain that you stay within the BMP budget. I want to know that you are communicating effectively with the team. You're not hoarding information. You're letting everyone know what's going on. I want them to know that they can come to me if they have a question, if they have an issue. Their goal is to make sure that they are maintaining schedule, they are maintaining budget, they are focusing on compliance. I don't want to get to red team and have the red team come back and say, we found 50 compliance issues with this proposal. If you submit it as it is now, you're going to lose. So let me know if that answers your question. If not, I'd be happy to elaborate more.
Thank you, Ali. I think you're right. I think at a very simplest form, end of the day, you need to meet your deadlines and what about the quality of output that you produce, how compliant is it, how responsive it is, start from there. and then build it up around your personality. That's nice. Hope that was useful, Krishna. Michael's question: do you think it's important for the manager to understand that people need to vent sometimes, and thus let team members know that they are safe with you?
I think it is highly important for managers to understand that people need to vent. I know sometimes I need to vent. I'm working on a proposal now and something came up and I called my proposal manager and said, okay, I'm going to say something right now. I need to vent. I'm not upset with you and this stays between us. If anybody ever says I said any of this, I will go to my grave swearing to God it never happened. But, I'm frustrated because of this situation. The line I would draw, though, it's a difference between being frustrated with a situation and being frustrated with a person. If someone is constantly coming to me complaining about somebody on the team, whether it's because of a personality conflict or, as we were talking about in the presentation, there's a blame game going on, then I think we come to an issue where it goes beyond simply venting, and there is a core problem there that is going to make the team itself a toxic environment. So be careful when you talk about that. There's the difference between venting and complaining.
That's a beautiful answer, Ali. I think separate the situation from the person, and then everything will fall in place. Again, if you have a question, please do raise your hand. I will allow you to speak, and you can talk. Krishna.
Hi, thanks so much, Ali. It was a fantastic presentation. So I had asked the first question about performance goals. The reason I'm coming up with this question is I have a new proposal team. They are all experienced proposal writers themselves, and I think I'm just trying to establish a common set of goals in addition to what their career goals would be for the coming year. Now, from a scheduling perspective, from deadline perspective, I think by default, everyone needs to meet their deadlines. We've been pretty good with that. It's never been the issue. I think what I'm trying to look for is in terms of goals that I thought about, I wanted to run it past you to see if it makes sense. As the first thing is probably coming up with some performance improvement activities or ideas which can be developed and implemented over the year. That was probably one goal. The second goal I thought about, and when you said that you don't measure win rates, I actually thought that win rate should be potentially another goal, having increasing their win rate by at least 5 to 10%. But I don't know if that's something that can be under the control completely, because they're working with several stakeholders, and sometimes we just don't win a bid just because of price or some other factor. I just want to get your thoughts from that perspective.
I don't consider win rate. When I managed a department, I never evaluated my team members on win rate, because once that proposal is submitted, it's out of your hands. And your client is evaluating that proposal, and sometimes their evaluation is subjective. I have seen proposals that were very well written, compliant, compelling, and they lost. And I have seen other proposals that were badly written, were really poor quality, but the price was right. Something about it spoke to the customer. They wanted that particular program manager or whatever, and it won. So I have never been a fan of making win rate a goal. I can see making performance a goal as far as management skills or leadership skills, helping team members meet their deadlines better, or always being prepared to submit your proposal the day before. Those types of things I could see as being goals, but I've never been a fan of win rate.
Okay, because I was looking for something that was measurable. That's the main reason. I came up with this. I want to look for something that's obviously achievable and measurable. But yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Thank you, Krishna. That was useful. Any other questions from anybody else? Shall I move to Scribble quiz? Okay. Okay. This time, because I was so fascinated by this topic myself, every single point that Ali was mentioning, I know I had a situation exactly like that. I know I had this. So I was so much into the topic, I didn't pick up a lot of questions. So you escaped this time, but still, I'm going to ask the question. So get closer to the chat. Let's see who picks it up. Which leader gives little or no guidance? Let's see, you can get the spelling right for this. Which type of leaders gives little or no guidance? It's going to be a spelling challenge. Jane, I know you got it, but let's get the spelling correct. No, I think Michael is close, but I'll give it to both Shane Krishna and Michael. That's a tough one. There's no way I'm going to get the spelling right. Let's. How do you call it again, Ali?
Laissez-faire.
Laissez-faire. Is it a French name? Is it?
Yes.
All right. French. Okay, no wonder. I can't even speak English properly, let alone French. Let's go.
But let's think of lazy.
Yeah, got it, got it. While again, this could be a hard one, but it's also a common one. What is that only constant in life? Ali passed it, which is quite true. What is that only constant in life? Change, but there is one more word before that. Anyone can pick it up? Oh, that's close. The continuous change. That's good. I think totally. I think, who would expect COVID to come and change everything? But, every now and then there is a compelling event that forces us to change. But otherwise, change happens. Change happens. That's a good one. That's definitely a life principle. That's a constant. So, what's that type or a method that Ali mentioned, that allow every now and then to ask your team to explain about their role? What's that word called? Nicole, you nailed it. It's Office Champion. So again, you know what? The slides and will be released. If you have any last questions, please do ask Nicole. Let me have a look if there is any questions. Just one question again. What's your take on yearly performance goals, Ali? Do you think you just catch up with your team every year, just go through their performance, or how do you think people need to be performance managed?
I always do performance reviews. I would give them goals as far as communication. How well did they run their status meetings, their daily tag ups? Were they efficiently run? Were they effective? Did they provide the kind of communication that the team needed? Did they give their team members appropriate direction? What were they, the democratic leader? Were they the laissez-faire leader? Were they just like, okay, we need to get this proposal done. Here's the calendar. Go to it. Here's the outline. Go bang it out. Or were they there in the room with the writer? Were they there helping? Were they answering questions? Were they approachable? Were they communicating well? Were they looking for opportunities to improve? Were they looking for opportunities perhaps to cross-train? Were they looking for opportunities to learn new skills? Were they taking advantage of professional development? I made I made everyone in my department get at least APMP foundation certification, because I thought that was very critical to their success. If they chose to get any certified before, beyond that, that was wonderful. I supported it and I kept money in my budget for it, but everyone had to at least go to foundation training and achieve foundation certification and do whatever was necessary to maintain it. So those are the types of goals that I would include on a performance appraisal.
That's beautiful, Ali. I think thank you for sharing that. I mean, like, you know, I know 1 hour is 45 minutes is such a short talk, but we can do this in workshop environment, and definitely Ali will be back in a much longer workshop environment so that we could sit down in a small group and work it through as an exercise. I know many of you are progressing, as Ali mentioned, have to take transferable skills, growing up in your career, but there is not always avenues available for you to ask questions, get some mentorship and stuff. You know, I look into Ali and I look into a few others within the industry to guide me. But thank you, Ali. Thank you for sharing. And please do share your love and support to Ali in the chat and also in the LinkedIn post that's going to follow. And quiz winners, you know, you will get the learning prize as announced. And next week we have Russell Vietri. Russell, again, we have an expert or a legend like Ali on one side. Then we have Russell, who's coming up and presenting for the very first time next week. So we have this mixture of encouraging every single one of you to also to come and present, because as you know, your experience, your uniqueness, it will also be something that people would want to learn, you know, like the experience that Ali has. So we welcome you. We'll also nudge you to come and present. And this is a safe environment, and come and share. And I'm sure colleagues like Ali, you will also be listening and will be sharing your love and support. So next week, it's not going to be Thursday, it's going to be Tuesday, 2nd of August, because it's holiday time. So we are trying to rejuggle. It's Why Proposal Managers Need Project Management Skills by Russell Vietri, our very good friend from Italy. So with that note, happy holidays and Scribble Friends. As you know, the new community platform is live. So you can join, connect with people, all the announcements, all the fun events, your points, rewards will all be added there. And the leaderboard, everything is going to come up live. So you're going to have a lot of fun there. So Ali, thank you very much again. Always lovely to see you. And I'll be speaking to you very soon. Thank you so much, Ali.
Thank you, my pleasure. And I do have to say, I do apologize for having to use the PDF version of my presentation. PowerPoint was not being my friend today.
Technology always have something for us, Ali, but you made
That's
it.
right. But being adaptive, I found a way to make it work.
Thank you so much, Ali. Thank you. Lots of love and support to you and your family. And thank you everyone for joining now. And we'll see you next week, Tuesday, 2nd of August with Rosella. Until then, stay happy, stay healthy. See you soon. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.